While you're doing that, another comfort food, like I told you, my go-to is spaghetti and meatballs.
Mm.
I've been doing the Banza thin spaghetti, and there's a lot of protein in there, and the turkey, sausage, and you can make really great meatballs and eat a lot of meatballs and sauce, as long as it's healthy sauce. So I love it.
That's great. I love those
I did use
substitutions.
turkey tonight, so that's another win. And I like doubled the chicken in my chicken and wild rice soup. So
Mm,
I did at least have it in my mind, like
perfect.
try.
Yeah, that is awesome. So, okay, I'm just cutting in because we just started recording. So anyone who's watching the replay or joining us later, it is April 14th. This is our week 11 call. And we're just talking about healthy comfort food because it's been crappy weather, crappy things going on in the world. And so I'll put like the things that we talked about in the Facebook group. And if anyone has like actual recipes they want to share of something that's like comfort food, but also like healthy, macro friendly, easy to cook options, that would be great.
Can I just say, because I saw your post about, I know you eat like avocado toast most days for lunch, and I've been on a binge of like whole wheat English muffins with mashed avocado, and then I'll just like change it up. Like one day I'll do like smoked salmon, and another day I'll throw in like some bacon or like whatever. And it's been like really neat to find like new ways to do avocado toast.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yes, I mean, and that's exactly like kind of what I want you guys doing. You're like, this is what I have basically every day for breakfast, but I change it up or lunch or
Mhm.
whatever, just enough to keep it interesting and not get bored. Oh, that's so good. Yum. I can't wait till I can eat salmon again, smoked salmon.
Well, I felt so fancy, and I did like some capers, and so I cut up like a hard-boiled egg. Like it was great.
That sounds amazing. Love it. Okay, anybody else have comfort food they want to share? Okay, if you think I'll start a post in the Facebook group. I
Yeah.
can just like kind of do a idea and recipe dump in there. Okay, so tonight we're going to be talking about fasting and intermittent fasting. I'm really excited because I'm going to be talking a lot about like the science behind it, and I know it's kind of a big fad or like a trend, but there's not really that much information about it out there. So I'm going to be talking about that. Hopefully you guys are into it. Before that though, I just want to talk about what happens after the Nourish project, because this is our second to last call. I cannot believe how fast these 12 weeks have gone by. So I have gotten, some questions about like what happens after this, or people are like loving the group and want to stay connected. And so I just want to talk about that for a little bit. So I feel like we're really just getting started, right? And like you guys are all making amazing progress, and kind of we've laid down the foundation and like the knowledge, like the basics of everything. So hopefully you feel pretty confident in all that. Um, what happens next, what I can offer is my level 2 coaching program is for women who have like graduated from Nourish Project or from my 12 weeks one-on-one coaching. And so that would be the next option. What I find is that in these first 12 weeks, you get the basics, you understand how macros work, what you need to take care of your body, more about managing stress and stuff like that. And you do a pretty good first cut for most people who are trying to lose weight. It's actually after this when it gets really hard, like maintenance and like staying the course and staying consistent when it's like not novel anymore. It's not like a new thing. And so support and accountability continuing on is really important. And last time I did the Nourish Project, I had 5 women in it. 4 of them continued on with me, and they've all just continued to have really, really good results. And they say that that continued accountability and support and guidance has been really helpful. And also just going deeper on all the subjects that we covered during these 12 weeks. The other reason I think it's really important is because next week we'll go over sort of the cycles of adjusting your macros through time. And we've talked about having not diet breaks, but high carb days and low carb days and doing that stuff. But there's actually like a bigger cycle, like I've talked about several times, of how as you are decreasing your calories, your metabolism, adapts down to that. And so you can't just stay in this deficit forever. It will eventually stop working and kind of mess up your hormones. So there's a whole cycle I'll talk through next week, but it goes through a cut, a structured diet break, a second cut, reversing up to your maintenance calories and staying there, working on building muscle while you're there. And then if you want, you do a second cut. So, kind of adjusting and supporting macros through all those different phases is really important for like those long-term goals. A lot of people just like do a diet and then they're like, now I'm done, right? They don't think about like the plan after it, or like when they hit their goal, what are you going to do? So I will just send you guys some more information about that. Oh, and what it looks like is it's a lot like our check-in session. So it's a small group. I would love to keep this group together as like a cohort if possible, but I have a couple different time options. And so we'll find one that works for you, but it's a small group of all women. So very intimate and like one-on-one coaching on a stage. So we'll do kind of like the same thing we do in the beginning of these calls, the one-on-one check-ins, the email check-ins where I'll give you specific personalized feedback after a call. And then any additional trainings that I do for my clients, will have those kind of as like pop-out sessions so all my clients can come to them. Does anyone have questions about that now? We can do, for anyone who's interested, we can just set up a quick call and we can go over all the details, but like any questions that kind of pop into your head now, Laura?
Is it on a month by month basis, or is it like another 12-week chunk, or how?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's 6 months. It's 6 months commitment, or 9, or 6 or 9. And there's like a slightly better price point for 9 months. Ideally, I would love to work with all my clients for a year and go through that whole macro cycle and really support you so that these habits become actual like automatic habits where they're easier to do than not do, and really like get your mindset solid so that by the time you're done working with me, you just feel like super confident. I've got this. I can fly. I don't need to do another fad diet. I don't need to go on a diet again. I like have all the tools and I know what to do. So
Are you planning to start like right after our last one?
Yeah, I'll start right away. Because I noticed when I went on my honeymoon for 2 weeks, all my clients told me they didn't do anything when I was gone. So maybe like a 1 week break, but probably we'll just start right away. And then I am having a baby. You guys know that. So I am working with an amazing woman named Kim, who's I'm going to bring on as a co-coach for the next time that I teach the Nourish Project. So I'll have her, when I'm out on maternity leave, I'll either just have her step in and work with you guys. Or like when we get to that point, I'll kind of give you the option if you just want to like extend your contract and like take a break and then just extend, if you're like, I only want to work with you, but she's amazing. She's really good. She has a lot of the same certifications and knowledge that I do. She's also, same age as I am. She's not like 20-year-old trainer, like straight out of like trainer college or whatever we all go to. I think that's really important. She, like me, was working a completely different industry and like studying all this stuff on the side and just quit her job full time. So she's really super qualified and is just going out on a limb to build up her business. So I'm really excited to partner with her. So that'll be kind of what it looks like when I'm out taking care of the baby. Any other questions? No? Okay, cool. I'll send you guys the email tomorrow, and then if you're interested, just schedule a quick call with me and we can figure it out. Okay, let's talk about intermittent fasting. Oh, and also I wanted to ask you guys, like, well, I guess it's really Laura and Ariel who were on the call last week. What did you think of all that lady stuff? And have you implemented any of it? Have you thought of implementing it? Is that something you'd be interested in doing?
So I feel like I'm just more cognizant in general. So I actually had my period last week. And so we literally had the call Wednesday, and then I had my period Thursday through Sunday. And I just thought it was so interesting because I don't know, I just like was just much more aware of like what was happening to me. And then I kind of leaned into it. Like you're talking about like, oh, your body's like warm or whatever. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna be hot. Like that's okay. And I'm just gonna, but I really, I think I was mostly surprised because I feel like normally when me personally, I retain a ton of water. And so like I went up a little bit and I was like, fuck, I still didn't hit 220, thank God. Because that would have been like really like I would have been very upset about that. But it was like, okay. And I was like, you know what, that's fine, like not a big deal. I'm on my cycle, like it makes sense. And so I don't know, I'm noticing it more now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I did put a line in everyone's check-in sheet for just like where you are in your cycle. So you can note that and note the first day of your period. And if you're, perimenopause where, it's like hit or miss sometimes, or if you're, you can just kind of note that, or postmenopause, you can still use all these things to support your hormones. You just want to pick a day. And also, if you have like an IUD and you like not getting your period at all, in that case, you would just like pick a day and say like, okay, this is day 1. And then from there, go in 4-week cycles with it. But yeah, just noticing and being aware and be like, oh, this is why I'm tired. This is why I'm lazy. This is why I'm hot. Like, it's really interesting. Laura,
Can
how
I
about
give you a tidbit for all you youngins?
Oh, please. Yes.
I had to go to a hormone specialist because my hormones were so out of whack, and I would have to change my pajamas like 3 times a night, and my bed sheets and everything. It was completely crazy. And I'm 55. Am I 55, 54? And I got an IUD, and right after I did that, everything went away. I've never had another symptom. I don't get crabby. I don't do anything. And it should last by the time it comes out, I'll be fully through the change.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before. That's
I know.
really interesting.
And it's so weird. But yeah, hopefully it works.
Wow, that sounds like
I know it
working well
works,
so
but
far. Yeah. Oh, wow. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's really cool.
My cycle started last week too, which is funny because Ariel, I feel like I'm just like copying you. Like we're at the same weight. I'm now apparently on your cycle.
Laura, can I just tell you that the other day I watched Good Girls. I don't know if anybody else does. You remind me so much of Christina Hendricks, and I don't know if people tell you that all the time. But I was like looking at, and I was like, who does Christina remind me of? And I was like, it's Laura.
Now I'm gonna have to go check it out because
yeah, me too.
Fred's been telling me to watch that because I have my like daily
so
lunchtime.
It's on Hulu. It's great. Yeah.
The last you remind me of, somebody told me they reminded me of one of the girls from Grace and Frankie and Grace. I was like, they're kind of older. Like, why are
maybe them and Brianna?
I don't know. And I never watched it. So I was like,
okay. It's so good.
For sure.
Brianna?
Beautiful, and she's young. She's the daughter.
Yeah, there's 2 beautiful blonde daughters.
Brianna, I bet.
Yeah, Brianna's the sassy one. She's my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
Also, that show is so good.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else about women's cycle stuff or TV shows?
It's interesting because Ali Kazaza, are any of you familiar with her? She's a podcaster.
Mm-mm.
And she like is big on minimalism, but not like in a throw out everything you own kind of way. And she just posted a thing about working with your cycle. And I was like,
Oh.
oh, this is a thing. Like people are doing this.
Mhm.
It's not just you.
It's a new thing, but there are a few people doing it.
So
Yeah.
I like made a note to pay attention more to what she's saying about it too. So
Cool.
Now I can't wait to watch it or listen to it.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's good.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not
it
going to
is
toot my
good.
own horn, but I think the information is
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of that, 2 other announcements. Besides the level 2 coaching option is the rest of April, I have 2 free webinars I'm going to be doing. What I'm calling them like masterclass workshop. I don't know. It's all kind of the same, but for you guys, this is information you should already know from working with me. One is just going to be called like why you struggle to lose weight and secrets of female fat loss in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. And then another one is women's cycle and hormone stuff. So those are totally free. And I am going to be, pitching the next round of Nourish Project, but, just lots of really good information. So if you have any friend or family member who you think might be interested or curious, or, anyone that you want to invite or share with, that would be awesome. I'll put the information in the group, but it's next Monday, the 19th, and then the following Wednesday, the 28th. Okay, let's talk about fasting. Okay, this is to me as interesting and exciting as the women's hormone stuff. So hopefully you guys like it. If you jump in, if you have any questions, any thoughts. I know some of you have done intermittent fasting before, so I'd love, your thoughts, your experience, stuff like that. Okay, so I'm going to just launch right into it. So intermittent fasting, first of all, it's really important to define what it is and what it is not. So it's not actually a diet. A diet refers to what you eat, how much you eat. Intermittent fasting is simply a cycle. It's a pattern of eating. So a schedule of eating and doing cycles between fasting and periods of eating. And more like nerdy researchers, they call it restricted feeding, which makes me feel like a zoo animal or something like that. But, you may hear like restricted feeding patterns, but it's simply just like cycling between periods of eating and periods of not eating. There's some goals, it's really getting popular and more well-known today, and people do it. A lot of people do it as like a fad diet as a way to lose weight. But there are a lot of other reasons to do it. It can help you lose weight. It also cannot help you lose weight. And I'll talk about that. But there are some really huge benefits of it. And so here, some of them are, it improves insulin resistance. So we haven't talked about insulin a lot in the Nourish Project, but insulin is secreted by our body to help it use and deal with carbohydrates. So these terms used to confuse me a lot. And so if it confuses you, insulin sensitive is good. Insulin resistant is bad. So insulin sensitive means your body is ready to take the carbs that you eat and put them into action using them. Insulin resistance means it's not ready to use those carbs and they're going to be stored as fat. So intermittent fasting and periods of fasting can really help improve insulin resistance and make your body more insulin sensitive. It's also a great way to strategize around lifestyle. If you're always like running out the door in the morning, you don't have time for breakfast. It could be a very easy way to simplify your life and be like, okay, I'm not eating till 10 o'clock or something like that. Also a great way to like adhere to your macros, especially if you're doing like a deeper cut or you're having problems staying within your macro guidelines. It can really help because essentially what you're doing is, limiting the time when you're eating and maybe having 2 or 3 meals instead of 4 or 5. And also can help if you find that you're just like obsessing about food and all day you're like, what should I eat? What should I eat next? am I hungry? Am I not hungry? It just sort of simplifies and eliminates that. So intermittent fasting is great for a lot of people, but it's not for everyone. It's really good for if anyone has PCOS, which that is not anyone in this group, but you may know people who have PCOS. It's common in women, and one of the symptoms of that is being highly insulin resistant. So because of boosting your insulin sensitivity, that really helps. Type 2 diabetes, same reason, it helps with that insulin sensitivity. And you see, not type 1 diabetics. So really important. It's not just like for any diabetics, really good for type 2 diabetics, not at all for type 1 diabetics. Anyone with insulin resistance, and then generally like mostly healthy individuals. Who it's not for is pregnant or breastfeeding or newly postpartum women. We need to keep the nourishment flowing at all times, keep that baby happy. Endurance sport athletes, same thing, you need like a steady supply of nutrients. Children and teenagers, same thing, who are growing. Anyone with high stomach acids or an over reliance on coffee, and that is because of the stomach acids. If you have sitting around with an empty, has anyone ever done that where you just like drink a lot of black coffee until like your stomach hurts and you don't eat anything? So would not be great for that. Also can be a little getting in a danger zone for anyone with disordered eating or previously disordered, with kind of that mindset issue of like just skipping meals and skipping food, because that's really not the point of it. And then also just knowing yourself. It may not be for you if you're a person who tends to get hangry or tends to, get really hungry and irritable and end up binge eating. All of those might be signs that this is not a great option. But for most people, mostly healthy individuals, there's a lot of benefits to it and really not a lot of downside. Okay, so here's an overview of all the benefits. So number one, and I have to tell you, as I go through these benefits, like I talked about last week, these intermittent fasting, there's not that many studies. And the studies that we have are done on male mice, male men, and postmenopausal women. So for all the rest of us, there's just not that much. So you really need to kind of like try it, listen to your body, make an adjustment, listen to your body. But here's what we see as benefits. Number one, levels of human growth hormone skyrocket like ×5, and that helps with burning fat. Insulin sensitivity improves and levels of insulin drop dramatically. So that helps with dealing with carbs in your body. It is a great way to actually detox your system. And I know there's always people out there pushing like detox teas and detox this and that and like juice cleanses. Our body has a natural detoxification system, and our pancreas, our liver, our intestines are all set up to detox the body. But what happens is we're constantly putting in, and those same organs are used for digestion. So they need to have like a break to switch over from not digesting food to being able to do their natural detoxification jobs. So it's kind of like if anyone is a cleaning lady and you need to pick up the house and get the clutter out of the way so the cleaning lady can come in and do her cleaning lady job. If the house is just a mess, the cleaning lady can't do her cleaning lady job. So same with that. And then also another benefit of detoxing is toxins are stored in our fat cells, and specifically the visceral fat, which is around the belly. And it's when we get that belly fat from a lot of high stress. You see it post-menopause, and also in younger women who are highly stressed, we store that belly fat. That is also where the toxins are stored, in those fat cells around your belly. So when you flush it out by intermittent fasting, not only does it help with the belly fat specifically, but it helps flush those toxins out of the system. So it can be really helpful for cancer prevention and cellular repair at that cellular level. It also increases the release of fat-burning hormone norepinephrine. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but norepinephrine. And then it also just may just purely increase the metabolism by 3 to 10%. And then number 6 is all these things together combined to show potential weight loss. And the studies that have been done, and like I said, they're very limited, have shown weight loss, additional weight loss of 3 to 8% over like a 3 to 24 week period. And then, because there's not that much studies on this, there's sort of a little bit of debate. Is it like, okay, because people are eating less or because of all these things? But regardless of the weight loss, it can really help for this other list of like 1 through 5 of boosting that metabolism, helping your body detox, healing things in your body that like normally don't get time for your body to do its natural healing process, flushing toxins out of the system, boosting your insulin sensitivity, and increasing your fat burning capacity. Okay, so let's talk about insulin resistance a little bit more because we haven't talked about that much. And so here's how it works. And here's what they see is generally it's down 3 to 6%. The insulin resistance is down, and that the fasting levels, so like right away when you end the fast, are like a major decrease of 20 to 31%. So this is really good. Remember, insulin resistance bad, insulin sensitivity good. So the normal process is when we eat carbs, they go in their body, that triggers our body to produce insulin. The insulin tells us to pull those carbs into the cell and use them. And then if they're not used, they're instead stored as body fat. And the body is the most sensitive to insulin following a period of fasting or also after a workout. So the same workouts have the same insulin sensitivity properties as fasting because the glucose that's stored in the muscles is all used up. So the muscles are ready for more fuel and ready to put it into action right away. On the other hand, if you're just constantly, putting it in, they're like, we're full. You're just going to have to store in the back room with the other fat cells. And then the other 2 benefit is just it can help with adherence to daily calorie goal, especially, even if you're not doing like a really long fasting window, like some people do, like 16-8 is kind of like the standard. So 16 hours of fasting, 8-hour eating window, which is pretty restricted, but it's not like super extreme. But even if you start with like 12 on, 12 off of like 12 hours of fasting and 12 hours of eating, that would maybe restrict your eating from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and cut off late night snacking, or 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and might be, and that kind of like personalized rule really works well for some people, just knowing like, okay, I'm fasting, I'm doing a 12-12 window and I'm not doing this late night snacking. So that way it can help with adherence to the daily calorie goal. It can also help because you can have fewer meals, but bigger ones, and might feel more satisfied after each meal. Maybe just having less of a focus on food. So most people who do this successfully just push their breakfast a little bit later and either start with lunch or have a later breakfast. So it's just like you don't have to think about food all day long. It also is easier to fit restaurant food. If you're a person who's like always on the go, you really don't have time to eat a lot of homemade food or to cook and meal prep. Restaurant food tends to be higher in calories and higher in carbs and fat. So it's easier, again, just because you can have like a fewer number of bigger meals to fit that in. And then also for people who just like hate tracking macros, like you're like, I can't be bothered. I hate sitting down and tracking all this. It's just less to track. Not that you're eating less calories, you're still trying to hit that same macro target, but you're just doing it in fewer meals or like fewer hours, a more constricted period of eating. Okay, any questions so far? Thoughts, comments? Okay, cool. Okay, so I've sort of mentioned these. Here's some of the issues with intermittent fasting. the current research has been done on mice, men, and postmenopausal women. There's not much research out there. The existing studies that I do have are super small. Like one of the main ones is 12 weeks long with 23 participants. So like, it's another area where I'm sure there will be more emerging research, but right now there's not that much. So the takeaway is to just try it if you're interested, and just listen to your body and observe the feedback of how it works for you. Because again, every body is different. Everybody's life, everybody's body chemistry, everyone's personality. So what works for someone great may not work for you, or vice versa.
Annie, I can't even imagine doing macros and hitting my calories within an 8-hour period.
Yeah, I know. For you especially.
Yep. And I used to like do the intermittent fasting, and I was thinking about that. I'm like, there's no way. I don't think I could physically eat that much protein.
No. And I remember when we started, you're like, I'm doing intermittent fasting. And I was like, we're going to add a whole nother meal to your day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
No. So like, for people like you who are working on like building up their metabolism and building, eating more calories, probably not a great option, right? But for people who are on the opposite end, where they're like, oh, I've been eating 2,500 calories, now all of a sudden I have to figure out how to eat 2,000.
Yeah.
It could be a great option.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great comment. So, like I said, it's not for everyone. I just want you guys to all know, like, this is the science, like, these are the options. If you want to try it, I am here for you. So if anyone's interested in starting, here's would be a good way to start. Just observing, kind of like we talked about, observing like where you are in your cycle and how that makes you feel. Observe your current window of feeding and fasting for like a week or so, and just make a note about it. And then start off by either pushing your current breakfast like 2 hours, or doing like a 12-12 window. And like I said, this, if nothing else, this may prevent late night snacking, where it's not a lot of good, like healthy choices happening after 9 or 10 o'clock at night, right? And then gradually moving closer to like a 16-8 window of 16 hours fasting, 8 hours of eating, and just real slowly, that's changing this window from like 12-12 to 14-10, 15-9. And, it does not, there's no magic answer. It's always about what works for you. And what works on one day or 1 week might not work on one day or another day. Laura, do you have a question or something?
I do. If you are a coffee drinker in the morning, can you still have coffee? Like, I really like creamer. Can I?
Yeah, you can have coffee. You can put a little creamer in it. You can have pre-workout. And so generally, like, without breaking your fast, try to keep it to under about like 50 calories or so. So I wouldn't get like a mocha frappuccino with like extra whipped cream, but a cup of coffee to get going in the morning with some creamer, no problem. And like I said, I'm a black coffee drinker, and I have had plenty of times where I drink like way too much coffee on an empty stomach and then get a little queasy. So that, that creamer to cut the acidity is not a problem at all. So, some tips to kind of like think about or make it work for you is like, if you want to just do this on the weekends, like that could be a good option, right? Sleep in, have a late brunch, boom, you're intermittent fasting. If you're fasting, I mean, you should be doing this every day, but if you're fasting or intermittent fasting, flush out your system with lots and lots of water. Coffee's fine, but maybe like use that as a time to drink less caffeine and more like herbal tea or decaf. Lots of heat. If you're fasting, you're going to be colder. You're going to be a little chilly. So just notice that. And if you won't be surprised, like, oh, I need an extra sweater or, something like that. If you are hungry, if you're ravenous, eat. Like, there's no need to be like pushing it to a point of feeling like uncomfortable or sick. It should never feel like that. Don't work out fasted unless is this something you commonly do, or you always work out first thing in the morning, or it feels fine for you? I used to, when I was in college, rowing at 6 a.m. every day. I never ate anything before practice and I was fine. But I had other teammates who like had to have half of a granola bar or something. Otherwise they would feel sick. So again, it's about just like listening to your body. But don't make it a habit or a practice um, of trying to do like fasted cardio and like really like push. I know that's a thing, but really it's just a good way to kind of mess up your hormones. I saw somebody put something in the chat bar. Oh, here we go. And then I couldn't find it. Oh yeah, that's okay. No worries. I was going to get to it. It's fine. No worries at all. So yeah, like I said, exceptions, coffee, pre-workout water, no problem in the morning. And then this is kind of an obvious one, but try to break your fast with a healthy choice. Like have whatever you want, but just think about like, okay, I was fasting for a while. What is like a good nourishing thing to break my fast with? And then, the main takeaway, like everything else, try it, listen to your body, observe the feedback your body's giving, and then, take what serves you and leave the rest. The other thing I want to talk about, so in addition to intermittent fasting, which is like daily fasting for like periods of eating and then fasting, if you're reading the Women's Hormones book by Beth Westy, she also talks about fasting for your cycle. So this is another option that people could try. So she recommends doing a full day, 24-hour fast during your luteal part of the cycle. So that's the second 2 weeks between ovulation and getting your period. That's when you don't have as much estrogen. So your body is kind of in like fat storage mode. It's not really trying to burn calories. So it would be a good time to do a full day fast. And even with that, men can do like just a water fast, but for women, we really need to have some calories, even if you're doing a full 24-hour fast. So with that, try to have like 400 to 500 calories total, like a couple small snacks every couple of hours. And these snacks would be like 80 to 100 calories and a full nutrient breakdown. So protein, carbs, and fat with maybe nuts or yogurt with fruit. Bone broth can be really good if you're doing a longer fast. Drinking warming drinks to, again, support the progesterone and just support your body because you're going to be a little chilled if you're fasting. If you're doing the longer fast, like an all-day fast, you will probably get hungry about 8 hours in. That is where your body's depleted all the glucose, all the stored sugars. And that's where you'll feel like hunger, but it will kind of pass. And then your body will switch to that deep fat burning mode for the rest of the day or until you break the fast. So it's definitely not recommended to go, I wouldn't say more than a day. But after 72 hours, your body will actually start attacking muscle tissue and proteins in the body to use that as energy, because it is going to get its energy wherever it can. It's going to break down protein, it's going to break down muscle, and it can turn that into glucose. That process is called neoglucogenesis. So it's like creating new glucogen out of whatever it has. And we don't want to break down the muscle fibers or connective tissue in our body. We just want to give it a break from digesting and kind of get a little bit extra into that deep fat burning. Okay, that is all I have on that. Questions, thoughts, ideas? Anybody interested in trying it?
I've done the intermittent fasting before and I really liked it when I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I could easily do it because there are some mornings where I just don't get to breakfast until everybody's away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I could do that. And I'm kind of thinking maybe that would help with the carbs because the carbs are a struggle for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to think about it.
Okay, cool. Think about it. Let me know what you decide, and then let's make a plan and just like try it out.
And then if you do the 24-hour fast,
Mhm.
then do you have to adjust your macros for the rest of the week?
Oh, that's a great question. I would just keep your macros the same
Okay.
and just get right back to it the next day. So your
Okay.
macros overall are going to be lower. If you are for like what you report to me, you're going to have to calculate them by hand and just don't track that day at all. So it's like all zeros. Otherwise, it's going to make your
Okay.
because we still want to know like kind of what's your daily macro average.
Mhm.
And just note like, hey, I did like 1 day fasting. I ate about 400 calories. Here's my average for all my non-fasting days.
Okay.
But yeah, just
Okay.
going to keep those macros the same.
Laura, I don't know, like I never thought of it as if I was fasting, but I don't eat after 7 and then I don't eat again until after 9 in the morning. So when I do the math, it's a long time. But when I do track the macros, unless it's like a pizza day, I have a hard time hitting my carbs. I don't know if it's because I'm just packing more into. I never thought of it as a shorter time because it just, except the coffee piece threw me out. I eat once I get shaky. Right, like that
Yes.
reminds me I don't feel well. I have to eat, but
Yeah, no, you're totally doing it.
that.
I mean, that's a 14-hour window of fasting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if that helps with the carb piece unintentionally.
I bet it does.
I think I might need to try that then.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, if anyone, has thoughts about it later and you want to try it or more questions, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to call it a night there. You guys have an awesome night. Oh, I want to get a picture. I always forget. I want to get a
Oh,
picture.
that's terrible.
You look gorgeous. You just get one quick picture, everybody wave or something. Yay. Okay, awesome. So I'll do check-ins tomorrow and send you guys personalized feedback. And then I'll send you information about level 2 coaching and about those 2 free workshops I have coming up. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Okay,
night,
everybody.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.